What steps do you take to ensure that your mind is focused and that you are looking at the right charts or have the right time frame or looking at the right stocks to trade before the market actually opens? As a trader, you have to become a creature of habit, or in other words, you have to have things that you do on a consistent basis to ensure you're ready for the task at hand. Trading is like a sport. You are going up against professionals. As a retail trader, you're going up against professionals day in, day out. You're going up against computer algorithms, up against market makers. Are you going to win, or are you going to let them win? So how do you prepare yourself? How do you get ready for the game? How do you get ready for the battle? Do you replay scenarios in your head before you actually place a trade? Or do you just focus on the time frame between 9:30 and 4 o'clock? For me, I like to, after the market is closed, when I'm not doing anything, I think about setups. I think about different stocks that I may trade, and I think about where I would enter if I saw this pattern form, or if I saw this candlestick formation. What would be my position size? What would be my price target if I see JNUG bounce off of support at $19? Would I take a long position? So how do you prepare yourself? The battle is won in your mind before you actually even place a trade. That whole mental thinking, that win the game in your mind. Think about the trades you're about to take in your mind before you actually place the trade. That's how you start to become a profitable trader. Visualize your setups, visualize your entries and your exits. So for me, I sit behind my desk every morning by 8:30, no later than 8:30, and the first thing I do is I go to this pre-market watch list right here. As you can see, I use Thinkorswim charts. I do not use trade ideas because Thinkorswim has their own built-in scanners. So, I felt, hey, this was, if there ever is a time where, hey, Thinkorswim is just not getting it done, I will look into trade ideas. But for now, this watch list that is preloaded by Thinkorswim is great for me. I have no issues with it. So I look through this pre-market watch list, and I start with stocks that are $1.50. And I'm looking for a gap, at least 10 to 20 cents, from the previous day's close. So this is the previous day's close. INSG is gapping up like 15 cents. So that will catch my attention. The next thing I look at is the float, or the outstanding number of shares. And if it's below 100 million, then I put it down here on my scratch pad. So I know right now I'm going to do some more research on SNG to see if it's going to be a play this morning. And then I keep going. I go to the next. Next we're looking at ALT. So that looks like it may be in play today. And I do this all the way down this list. So we got CLNT as well. CLNT. So as I'm going through this list, I stop when I get to $10. I don't look at these stocks that are over $10 because they will populate on another scan for me. So I don't waste my time looking at them twice. Once I get to 10, the next thing I look at are the stocks that are gapping up pre-market. So I load up this scan and I'm looking for stocks that are actually gapping up, and they have a float that's less than 100 million with the increase of volume. Now the float outweighs the volume. So if float is around 28,000 or 28 million, I should say, that's great. That's a good float. Float represents the actual shares that are on the market to be traded. That represents your supply. So if supply is low and demand is increasing, that means the price of the stock will actually have to go up. So look, I'm looking for low float stocks that are gapping up pre-market. Unfortunately, there's not any in this list between $1.50 and $10. So hey, it is what it is. That's fine. Next, I look at the top 10% gainers on the NASDAQ. Do the same scenario. Look for stocks that are gapping up. that have a low float. And if there are any, I will put them right here on my scratch pad. If not, then hey, I go on down to here to the top 10% gainers on the NYSE. Same scenario, looking for stocks that are gapping up 10 to 15%, that have a float less than 100 million and have a increase in volume. So if I don't see any, fine. All right, so let's say we're going to start off this morning with these 5 stocks. The next thing I would do is I will put them into a chart. So now that I have the stocks in my charts, I'm looking for any news as far as FDA related, any news as far as new product launch or earnings coming out. If I can find news on these stocks, that's great. If I cannot find any news, then I probably won't trade it, because a low float stock that has a catalyst such as news, along with increased volume, increased demand, that's a recipe for a stock that is going to move up in the direction I need it to go. Now, am I a long bias trader? No, I am not. I trade with the actual trend of the market. If the overall trend is increasing or going up, then I look for stocks that are gapping up pre-market. If the trend is going down, then I look for stocks that are gapping down pre-market. So I do not base my decisions off my personal feelings. I base my decisions off what the actual market is doing. So we have pre-market. We have JNUG right now. Looks like it's JNUG and CLNT. Look like they could be in play. So with CLNT, we have some news that there's a agreement of a potential takeover on this stock by majority stake. Okay. So what I would do then is I start to do the technical analysis, which is I'm looking for the overnight high, which is at 506. So I put some lines there for the overnight high. That's a point of reference. I switch to a daily chart and see, okay, the moving averages will be below the open. Right now we have an open above $4. So that lets me know, hey, I got a level of support below me, which is great. Next thing I do is CLNT is in play. If it can break back above this trend line, not knowing where this stock will open, it may push lower, it may bounce up. Whatever happens, it'll stay on the watch list, as at the top of the watch list. Now, these 6 stocks that are shown right here are the first 6 stocks I'll look at. Whatever's on this chart, when the bell rings, that's what I'm looking at for the first 5 minutes. I don't worry about anything else. I look at these stocks and these stocks only. We have another gap on Roku, so I will add a couple lines to the chart. Got the overnight high. Also on a daily chart, we can see have a little moving average right here. So if we stay above this moving average, it could possibly be in play to the long side on Roku. Also, JNUG is gapping up. It had a nice move on Friday, so we look for continuation on JNUG as well. And my overnight high right there. And CGEN doesn't look like it has enough volume, so more than likely won't trade that. I will just replace it with AMKD, which was a stock that could potentially bounce this morning. So now that I have these stocks in place, the next thing I do is I look at social media. I look at StockTwits and Twitter to see what those two platforms show as stocks that are potentially ready to move this morning. You're not an island unto yourself, meaning use all available resources that you have to find stocks. We live in an age of technology. We don't have to comb through the newspapers to find stocks that are moving. You have everything right at your fingertips. So I'm actually going to replace this with Snap, because StockTwits is saying Snap is up 41.41% this morning. So I will keep that on watch to see what it may do. It is gapping up. So let's draw an overnight high line right here. That could be an area of entry to the long side on Snap. Also on the daily chart, we have an area of resistance at 1509. So anything up above, let's say 1511. Yeah, 1509. Then Snap is a long play. So once I look at StockTwits and then I check out, let's look at Twitter. On Twitter, I rely on the actual amount of people talking about the same stock. So if I find 5 people talking about HMNY and I did not already have it on my pre-market list to trade, then I will put it on there. If 5 people are talking about the same stock, it must be ready. It must mean something, in my opinion. If not, then hey, I keep it moving. So this morning I have, let's take this off. Let's move Snap on. And let's add Roku, ROKU, and AMKD, and ECYT. So these are the stocks that I will be looking at first thing this morning. Like I said, when the bell rings, I'm only looking at these stocks. Around 9:35, I will switch my attention back to my watch list and determine, hey, what is actually moving now that the market is open. And once I see that information, this list will change. Now, this watch list that has penny stocks, I mean, that name is just a name. These actually are not penny stocks per se. Everything on this list is at least $1, I believe. But the point of this list is anytime I place a trade and I make at least $200 on that stock, I add it to this list. So that lets me know, hey, 1, I did something good. I was profitable. 2, the stock moves in a great enough distance in a short amount of period that, hey, I can make money within an hour or 2 hours trading this stock. So that lets me know, hey, it's a former runner. Let's keep it on my list for a later date. Now the list is sorted by net change. So once the market opens, the highest net change will populate at the top and the lowest net change will populate at the bottom. So anytime I'm trading to the long side, I look at the first 10 to 15 stocks that have the greatest net change. Anytime I'm shorting, I look at, the stocks that are down here to short. So since today, if you see on the ES, the market is up 4.25 points, or a little over 17%, 0.17%. So that lets me know, hey, the overall market is up. If the overall market is up, then I need to be looking for stocks that are gapping up. I don't want to buck the trend. Now, there are, counter trend traders. If that works for you, go for it. I could never really get my feet settled on trading that way. So I just follow the overall trend. So this morning, I have these stocks right here ready to go. As soon as the bell opens, once the bell opens, I wait 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'll focus my attention back on these, top 10% gainers on the NYSE and NASDAQ if I have not traded any of these stocks by that time frame. And if I can't find anything on, these two watch lists, then my attention will move over here and I'll look for the top, net percentage gainer on my personal watch list. And like I said, these are stocks that I've at least made $200 on. That gives me confidence that, hey, I can do this again. I can repeat that process. That's how you become a profitable trader. Repeating a process that you were once successful in. Do that every single day. You don't have to keep reinventing the wheel every single day. You have a process in place, stick with it. So that's it. This is my pregame. What is yours? I am the bearded trader. Let's have a great day trading.